Oh, yes, definitely. That is the Dow 24.
All right.
Thank you.
Dow 24.
Ah, now, that is a wine indeed. Coburn 27. To waste a bottle of Coburn 27 on an experiment like this is positively sacrilegious.
Right, now that you say is a Coburn 27. Number 2 is the Dow. Number 1 was a rich ruby port type wine. I can't imagine why Clarissa has such a thing in the house, you know.
Well,
Anyway, come on. It's now my turn.
she probably uses it for jugged hare or for flavoring soup.
Yes. Well, I bet I'm as good a judge of port as you any day, my boy.
What's going on here? 3 can't trick me glasses.
Now, who is that? Who's brought a dog into the room?
Very young one, is that?
Oh.
3 times to the lodge gates and back in a Macintosh. The Czechoslovakian minister did it in 4 minutes, 53 seconds. I went all out, couldn't do better than 6 minutes, 10 seconds. Don't believe he did either.
Who told you that about the Czechoslovakian minister?
Clarissa.
Well, you mustn't pay any attention to what Clarissa tells you.
I'm afraid you don't know your hostess very well, Warren. She's a young lady with a very vivid imagination.
Think she made the whole thing up?
I wouldn't put it past her. Here you are, Hugo.
You wait till I see that young woman. I'll have something to say to her. Gosh, I'm dead.
Now, will you stop puffing like a grampus? I'm trying to concentrate. We have a bet on. Rowley and I.
What is it?
Who's the best judge of port? Now, quiet, please. Now, this is important.
Well?
Now, don't hustle me, Rowley. I'm not going to rush my fences. Where's the next one?
Wait a minute. There you are, Hugo.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure about those 2. The first was a Dow, the second was a Coburn.
I see number 3 is the Dow, and number 1 is the Coburn.
Yeah, I don't think it's really worth my while trying number 3. However, I suppose I better go through with it.
There you are.
Oh. Oh, what unspeakable muck. Oh. It'll take me an hour to get the taste out of my mouth. Here, let me out of this, Rowley.
I'll do it.
Come on. Come on.
So that's what you say. Is number 2 is the Grosser type special. Some rubbish is the Dow 24.
You're losing your palate, my boy.
Well, let me try.
Well, there you are.
All tastes the same to me.
You young people, you know, it's all this confounded gin you're always drinking. Ruins your palate, you know.
Hello, my darlings. Have you settled it yet?
Yes, Clarissa, we're quite ready for you.
Number 1 was a Coburn, number 2 was the port-type wine stuff, and number 3 was the Dow.
Absolute rubbish. Number 1 is the port-type wine stuff, number 2 is the Dow, number 3 is the Coburn 27. I am right, am I not?
Darlings. Now, you take the tray back to the dining room. You'll find the decanter on the sideboard.
Decanter?
Yes, just 1 decanter. It's all the same portion, you know.
Clarissa, you unprincipled humbug.
Well, it's been such a wet afternoon and you meant to play golf. You must have some fun. And you have had fun with his darlings, haven't you?
Well, upon my soul, you ought to be ashamed of yourself showing up your elders and betters.
Now then, Clarissa. What's all this about the Czechoslovakian minister?
What about him?
Did he ever run to the lodge gates and back in a Macintosh 3 times in 4 minutes, 53 seconds?
The Czechoslovakian minister is a dear, but he's well over 60, and I doubt very much whether he's run anywhere for years.
So you did make the whole thing up. Why?
You've been complaining the whole day about not getting enough exercise.
Clarissa, do you ever speak the truth?
Of course I do. Sometimes. But when I am speaking the truth, nobody ever seems to believe me. Very odd. Oh, I do believe it's clearing up. It's going to be a lovely evening.
You really like living down here in the country?
Oh, I love it.
Must get bored to death. So incongruous for you, Clarissa. You ought to lead a gay life in London. You'd make a brilliant hostess. Such a waste.
Me?
Yes. Then there's Henry.
What about Henry?
Can't imagine why you ever married him. Years older than you, with a daughter at school. Well, an excellent man, I've no doubt, but dull as ditch water. No sense of humor. Oh, I suppose you think I oughtn't to say these things.
Oh, I don't mind. Say anything you like.
So you do realize you've made a mistake?
Oh, but I haven't made a mistake. Are you making immoral advances to me, Jeremy?
Definitely.
Oh, how lovely. Go on.
I love you.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Well, that's entirely the wrong answer. You're supposed to say, I'm so sorry, in a deep, sympathetic voice.
Oh, but I'm not sorry. I'm delighted. I like people to be in love with me. Would you do anything in the world for me?
Anything?
Really? Supposing I murdered someone, would you help me? Oh, no, I must stop.
No, go on.
Well, you see, my life has always been peaceful and happy. Nothing exciting ever happened. So I began to play my little game. I call it supposing.
Supposing?
Yes, I say to myself, supposing
Hello,
I would...
Clarissa.
Oh, hello, Pippa. You're late.
Music lesson. Any food about? I'm starving.
You get your buns to eat on the bus.
Oh, yes, but that was half an hour ago. Can't I have some cake or something to last me until supper?
We'll see what we can find.
Is there any of that cake with the cherries on top?
No, you finished that yesterday.
Is Mrs. Elton Brown about?
Yes, she just went with Pippa to find her something to eat. Will you come in, Miss Beak?
No, I won't come in because of my boots. Bring half the garden with me if I do. I just wanted to ask what veggies for tomorrow's lunch.
I'm afraid
I tell you what, I'll come back later. Oh, you will be careful with that desk, won't you, Mr. Warren?
Yes, of course I will.
It's a valuable antique. You oughtn't to wrench the drawers out like that.
I'm terribly sorry. I was only looking for some notepaper.
Middle drawer.
Ah.
That's right. It's curious how often people can't see what's right in front of their eyes.
This is a smashing bun.
Hello there. How was school today?
Pretty foul. Wild affairs.
What's your favorite subject?
Biology. It's heaven. Yesterday, we dissected a frog's leg. Look what I got in a second-hand bookstore. It's awfully rare, I'm sure. Over 100 years old.
What is it exactly?
Well, it's a kind of recipe book. It's thrilling. Absolutely thrilling.
Seems very absorbing.
What? Gosh.
Evidently a good twopenny worth.
What's the difference between a waxed candle and a tallow candle?
I should think a tallow candle is markedly inferior, but surely you can't eat it.
Can you eat it? Sounds like animal, vegetable, and mineral. Do you know demon patience?
Mm-hmm.
It's such a waste living in the country when it's wet.
Do you like living in the country?
Rather. I like it much better than living in London. This is a wizard house with a tennis court and everything, and we've even got a priest's hole.
A priest's hole in this house?
Yes.
Don't believe it. Wrong period.
Well, I call it a priest's hole. Look. I'll show you. It isn't a real priest's hole, of course. Actually, that door goes through into the library.
Does it? So it does.
But it's all rather secret, and you'd never guess it was there unless you knew. I think it all the time. It's a sort of place for putting a dead body in, don't you think?
Absolutely made for it. Oh, the Amazon was looking for you.
Miss Peaker, what a bore.
Hey, that's mine.
Greedy thing.
First she hailed me as though I were a ship, then ticked me off for manhandling the desk.
She's a dreadful pest, but she goes with the house. Black 10 on red jack. And she's really a very good gardener.
Yes, I know. I saw her from my bedroom window this morning, digging something looked like an enormous grave.
That's deep trenching.
Red 3 on the black 4.
It's clear up at last. No time for golf, though. Only about 20 minutes of daylight left. That goes on there. I suppose we'd better get over to the golf club.
But I'm going to get my coat. What about you, young man?
I have to get my jacket.
Well, you don't mind dining at the clubhouse, darling?
Not at all. Very sensible arrangements as the servants are going out.
Well, supper is already in the schoolroom, Miss Pippa.
Oh, good. I'm ravenous.
Yeah, you put those cards away first.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, Elgin, what is it?
There's been a little unpleasantness over the vegetables.
Oh, dear, with Miss Peake.
Yes, madam. She's continually coming into the kitchen and criticizing, and Mrs. Elgin doesn't like it. She doesn't like it at all. Wherever we've been, Mrs. Elgin and myself have always had very pleasant relations with the garden.
Oh, well, I'm very sorry. I'll try to arrange it.
Thank you, madam.
What tiresome they are. What curious things they say. How can one have pleasant relations with the garden? Sounds improper in a pagan kind of way. Come on, Pippa, hurry up.
I wish one didn't always have to do the clearing up. There.
Oh, take your bun with you. And your satchel. Hat. And shut the door.
Wonderful. She's a different child. You've done a good job there, Clarissa.
I think she really likes me now and trusts me. I quite enjoy being a stepmother.
I'd like to wring Miranda's neck.
I feel furious every time I think of Miranda. What she made Henry suffer and what she made that child go through. I still can't understand how any woman could.
Taking drugs is a nasty business. It alters the whole character.
Well, what started her on them in the first place?
I think it was that swine Oliver Costello. I believe he's in on the drug racket.
Yes, he's a horrible man. Really evil, I always think.
She's married him, hasn't she?
About a month ago.
Well, Henry's well rid of Miranda. Good chap, Henry. Doesn't say much, undemonstrative, but sound all through. That young fellow, Jeremy, what's his name? What do you know about him?
He's very amusing.
Oh, that's all people seem to think about nowadays. Don't do anything foolish, will you?
Don't fall in love with Jeremy Warrender. That's what you mean.
That would be extremely foolish. You know, Clarissa, my darling, I watched you grow up. You really mean a great deal to me. Now, if you were ever in trouble of any kind, you would come to your old guardian, wouldn't you?
Of course, really, darling. And you needn't worry about Jeremy.
Excuse me, I hope you don't mind my coming in this way, Mrs. Hailsham Brown. I've left my boots outside, but I would just like you to look at this collie.
It looks very nice.
Take a look.
I can't see anything wrong with it.
Of course there's nothing wrong with it. That woman in the kitchen, well, of course, I don't want to say anything against your servants, Mrs. Hailsham Brown, though I could say a great deal. But that Mrs. Elgin actually told me it was such a poor specimen she wasn't going to cook it. I was so angry I could have killed her. In future, I shall leave the veggies outside the back door. Oh, well, that's all right. I'll get it. Hello? Coppleton Court. Yes? You want to speak to Mrs. Brown? Yes, she's here.
This is Mrs. Hailsham. Hello? Hello? Oh, they seem to have rung off.
Excuse me. Mr. Sellen always liked this cupboard back against the wall. Thank you. Thank you. And you will be careful about marks made with glasses on the furniture, won't you, Mrs. Brown Hailsham? Hailsham Brown, Brown Hailsham Brown. It's all the same thing, really, isn't it?
No, it's not. A horse chestnut is hardly the same thing as a chestnut horse.
I'm getting a regular ticking off. Quite sarcastic. Well, I must be off. Give me the collie. Horse chestnut. That's jolly good, that one, you know. I must remember that.